So, welcome to Illuminating Rounds, the Scenario Archives video series, episode 1.
Welcome.
This is Martin. So, welcome to the ASL Scenarios first episode.
Thanks, Dave.
What's welcome him? Not you. But okay.
No, you're right. That makes sense, yeah.
It's your house, Martin.
Okay, yeah. But I said, welcome to my house. Yeah. Right, okay. Right, you welcome them then. Yeah.
Okay, well, I've welcomed them now, so... Okay. Welcome to the ASL Scenario Archives. You're going to cough some more. That was my one line. Okay,
sorry.
all right. Welcome to... I'm going to follow me when I'm talking to them.
Okay.
So welcome to the ASL Scenarios first video overview, first episode. With me is Martin. Martin.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
Who are you?
I'm Martin Barker. I've been... shall I give you a little bit of a rundown of my ASL career? I started way back in the 1980s. I remember playing squad leader, played on my own. There was no internet, couldn't get in touch with anybody. At university, bumped into a couple of other people who also played squad leader, had a few games then. Really loved it. Lost contact with most of those people, put the game away, and kind of forgot about it for years and years. Thought I'd grown out of it.
And then there was a Game Squad forum post or a mailing list?
Yeah. So I noticed on Game Squad that there were people on there that were playing the game, and they were playing Advanced Squad Leader. I didn't know what that was. I looked online, got the rule book, bought it, and everything. Got in touch with a particular guy called Dave Ramsey,
right, yep.
Yourself, not all that far away.
Yep.
And we met up, drove over to your place, only about an hour away, and we started playing kind of regularly.
And that was 13 years ago, I think.
Was it as long ago as that?
I think because
my son was, and your daughter,
yes,
2.
Yeah. Okay. So pick the daughter. So yeah, there was a 4 or 2, and I think Daisy was just being born. Yeah. So there was, and we've got a funny story we'll talk about perhaps later. The first time we met.
So. I think we got to store something good up for later.
Keep people watching. So what are we going to do today? We're going to try and talk about an overview of the action pack. Yeah. We're going to talk about the scenarios inside that. We'll talk about the boards that we've got.
That kind of first impressions.
Exactly that, and it's an older product, so it's 2 years old now. So. Probably people have already bought it.
A lot of people have played a lot of the scenarios we're talking about.
That's right. And I kind of want to have a chat to you as well about what you think of action packs. Are they a must-buy for ASL? Do you think that everyone just goes out and buys these automatically? Because I was going to ask you, because I didn't know if you'd actually got a copy of this. And I was going to say to you, is it a must-buy? And then I was going to say, well, you haven't bought it, but you have got a copy.
I have got a copy, yeah.
But it is a question that I think we should explore at some point.
I'd always buy the action packs. I wasn't sure if I bought this one because, with sort of personal life problems and things like that. I haven't been quite as active in the scene. So because when you said to me, "Have you got Action Pack 13?" I wasn't sure, but I would always eventually get around to buying Action Pack.
So you think they are a must buy?
I think they're a must buy.
I think in terms of what core modules, I think is the first thing that everyone would think to buy from an ASL. Then it's Action Pack. Do you think? And that's the
So yeah. Obviously, you need all the core modules really, and then I think as the action packs come out, if you don't buy them, you start to fall behind with boards. For a start, they got things that you need. They also tend to be really good scenarios, and actually kind of like going through these the other day for this, I thought that there's some awesome scenarios there, like really good quality. You're guaranteed, if it's from MP, I think you're pretty much guaranteed good quality for practically all the scenarios.
Exactly. So what we thought we'd do is we'd go through the scenarios. You're going to take the even number ones. I'll take the odd number ones. Just run through what the scenario looks like, and then
I've done the odd numbers.
Have you really? No, that's okay.
That's all right. No,
I've done the even numbers. That's okay.
Excellent. Right.
Good. You did the right thing. So I've done the even numbers.
And I've done the odd numbers.
Exactly that. All right, so we can go through and we'll talk about it, and then we've ranked them in the scenarios in the order that we'd like to play to try and figure out which one we should play today.
Yes.
We're going to play through it. We won't show you the whole game, but we'll show you as much of the game as we can.
And we're going to talk about the boards as well.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly. So do you want to do the boards first, because I think that's probably what everybody think looks for in an action pack. I came across a forum thread on Game Squad forum. I think it's maybe about Action Pack 14, but it's 6 pages and it's predominantly just talking about the boards. So that's where the things are, which is always surprised to me, because I think the scenarios are what kind of you end up taking out of an action pack to play. But it is interesting that people you can't get enough boards, can't get enough scenarios. It's always good to have it. So what should we take first? We have a look at the.
Do you want 78? I guess take them in chronological order.
Okay. So
we got a sort of a central hill board, large hill going right the way out to level 3. Bit of a twist on the most common type. You've got this sort of like
brush
over it. One thing I do think about things like brush, where you've got like predominant brush like that. If you're talking about sort of like terrain transformations, if there's an SSR says they're woods, I don't think that's difficult for the average ASL to get their head around. Sometimes you get transformations which are really, really play with your mind. Whereas I think I can live with those being woods. I can live with them being something slightly different. So I think that's a little bit of a twist on the norm.
And in terms of like the defensibility of the board, you think from if you're coming from it width-wise, this looks like quite a tough ball to defend. There's not so much.
There's not a lot of cover on the top of that hill. It's a very bald kind of like hill. You've got like looking at somebody attacking from the side. You've got the with the plateau effect of the level 1. You've got lots of places for kind of skulking and
like a reverse hill defence.
Defence sort of like opportunities are certainly there. And it's the kind of thing that if you were defending that, you might expect there to be some fortifications. You've got a couple of trenches, perhaps a pillbox or something like that. And you can set up some quite interesting, quite devious sort of design systems of defence.
And it looks quite clean, doesn't it? It's quite a clean looking board. I think if we compare that to, I know we've got the other hill boards here. So board 50, which I think
is very, very much more cluttered.
Yeah, exactly.
Crags.
So it's a busy board.
Yeah.
It's one that kind of you're going to be in for a lot of work, aren't you?
Yeah.
You set up a scenario on that one, and it's
even the fact that you potentially could be attacking out of this sort of this stream.
Yes.
The sort of the difficulty of climbing, just in terms of movement factors, climbing up that, and you've also got you've got different summits, some with better views than others. And it's interesting that sort of from R5 on board 50 you can see this major summit over here.
Yep.
But you can't see much else because it's surrounded by woods.
Yeah. More of a PTO board, would you think, this one? Or is this...
I think so.
And I think when we look at this one here, back to board 78, this also can fit nicely into a PTO because there's no buildings on there, so you haven't got this kind of stone building effect where we're looking at. It doesn't necessarily spring out.
It kind of always looks wrong when you've got stone buildings and they're supposed to be huts.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Now there's also I pulled out board 5A.
Oh, I think that's a lovely board.
Which is but it's very, very similar, isn't it, to the board in terms of the hill part.
Yeah. Being
central and quite sparse. Obviously, there's the village to the right and the gully that takes precedent, but very similar. Yeah. And I wonder if M&P could have done more to differentiate the ball 78. I know you've got some of the older balls as well.
It feels a little generic, doesn't it? Like not necessarily the most intensely interesting.
Before you looked at the hill balls that we've got in the older packs, did you have a sense of this is very different or this looks more of the same, and maybe comparing now what we've got board 15?
I did. I mean, so board 15 is. In fact, these will come to very, very so board 15, board 9, and when you've got their board 2, the original one from Squad Leader. Again, they're very bald, aren't they? And the top of those are quite clean.
Right.
It's not massively dissimilar. But the thing is, if you've played on these boards, and you know board 2, you might well have played dozens of times on board 2. Yeah, you might know the lines of sight. You know the good places to defend with having to think about it. You need a new board, even if it is a little bit similar in some respects. It's different and it presents new challenges and new things to think about.
When I play on these boards, these are new to me every time I play on them, even though I've played...
These are complex boards,
aren't
they? Yeah.
That's right. And I don't know whether it's just my ASL blind spot of I don't recognise boards as much as I think other people do when they, like you say, they
I think like 1 to 4 and things like that, you'd say...
But you played from Squad Leader, you see, so I think...
when we only had boards 1 to 4.
Right, exactly, back in the day.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so in terms of the board then, so I mean, no complaints about it, but fairly generic, just a nice addition to the set probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right, and then we've got the river board, so let's just move these out of the way. Now, when you looked at the river board, to start with, board 79...
Are these two boards?
These are all yours. Oh, that was fine then.
Yeah, okay.
So when you looked at board 79, what was your first thoughts in terms of, like, you've seen this before? Or
I kind of slightly felt like I'd seen it before. It kind of felt to me a little bit like, I'd seen a board. I couldn't think exactly which one, but I kind of felt like there was something similar in the system.
Right. And I did the same thing. I thought, well, this is crazy. We must have a board like this. You know, I know we played. Was it Gavin's Take? Was it what was
we
it?
took Gavin's Gamble was the second game we ever played with the big river crossing.
Yeah.
There's a few differences. One difference is that this has 3 kind of like designed in river crossing points.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything else that has the roads crossing the river in 3 locations.
So board 40?
Board 40 is a really interesting board. It's a much smaller river, just 2 hexes wide. You've got hills overlooking it. You've got all kinds of interesting features, little stone field, stone walled field there.
Yep.
Whereas this is just like a village one side and a village the other side, isn't it? It's
and I'm glad we've got your boards out here because I looked at mine as well and I realised that it looked like my German counters where they couldn't work out what colour blue to go with.
Does look a bit like that, doesn't it?
And I didn't know whether mine had been out in the sun a lot. But I mean,
that looks like Kampfgruppe.
The Kampfgruppe Piper
counters.
So the difference in the blues, which
very
is
dramatic.
A little bit different. It's a little bit disappointing, isn't it? Because and I think this blue, the newer blue, is nicer. But it just makes it look so much more purple. The old boards.
Yeah.
This is board 8 here. Yeah. Board 8.
So this was been from the original squad leader.
That's right. Yeah. So this was this our Gavin Gamble?
No, I don't think so. I think it was. Oh, maybe it was. I know it was this one. This
one here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think that's the one we. Gamble one is board 7. Right. And I'm not even sure if these islands didn't exist. I can't remember now. I'd have to look it up.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
One interesting thing about board 8, and I've never completely got this, and one of the hill boards is similar. You've got the kind of castle thing. I don't know if people can see that on here on the hill. I can't remember ever playing a scenario that uses that castle, and there's one on one of the hill boards as well, which I also don't ever remember being featured.
This gets overlaid a few times, or this is one of those ones where you just play it as a.
I don't remember either overlaying it or it being significant. In
one for the comments there, maybe. Tell us which scenarios are worth playing that include the castle.
Include the castle on the cliff top castle. Yeah.
So definitely. So I guess this is most similar to board 8. Board 79. It's kind of we have got a couple of the crossing points, and to me, if I look at these boards here, and I think we're playing a scenario with some buildings either side and a river. Yeah, the boards are quite interchangeable, aren't they? They're quite similar.
See, there's only 2 ways to use. I mean, very often you find these river boards being used, but the one side of the board isn't in play.
Right.
That's quite common. There's very occasionally, there's one in this pack, you see people fighting down both sides of it, and they're perhaps linked by a bridge, and there's one in this action pack. And the other, of course, is river crossings. Yep. And of the various types of ASL scenarios, I'm kind of least keen a little bit, perhaps, on river crossings. I think they tend to be a little bit predictable because how they go.
Because they're funnelled and they're
funnelled. You tend to find that the attacker obviously has to be given the tools to get across, and as long as the person crossing the bridge knows what they're doing, I think they get across. Get across, and that feels to me like.
When you pull off a river crossing, the smoke
feels good. It feels good.
Or the wreck sticks into the front of the.
Yeah, but I nearly always end up being the losing defender.
That's not true.
All the tricks played on me. Yeah.
Okay, and I think in terms of other river balls, I don't think there's that many others.
There is an overlay. There's an official overlay, which I think is 2 or 3 hexes wide.
Right. And you pointed out as we were looking at the boards, board 23. With the interesting little board, the little nubbin of river on the side. So
it can link to board 79, for example.
That's right, yeah. So we could have this kind of...
I'd never really noticed it. And again, I've never seen that being used in a scenario.
Okay. So at this point, we'll talk a little bit about the scenarios. Just no more than perhaps 30 seconds. Just a quick run through and just so far away. So AP, was it 121?
121. Okay, 121. So along the Vistula, it's set in Poland. It's 4 boards, so it's quite a big kind of playing area there. It's a very little play. It's Germans v the Polish, 1939, and it's about 2 wins so far, recorded on Raw, which were Polish victories. So far too early to say whether it's balanced or not. This is the scenario where a force goes down both sides of the rivers. The Polish are defending on 2 sides of the board 79 river, the new river. I think it looks a lot of fun.
So I was going to say, why do you think it isn't getting play? Because you're right. I mean, it looks like it's.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very interesting because it's got this. I mean, but people put off by OBA. I mean, I love playing OBA.
Where did you put it on your rankings? 1 to 11, where question. 1 is
along
perhaps
the Vistula,
top.
I put it number 8 out of 11.
Okay, I had it number 5.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily put it higher. Yep. I enjoy OBA. This has got OBA on both sides. It's got quite cool sort of the Panzer 1B, the sort of early war tanks, which are really powerful at the beginning of the war against the infantry. I think it'd probably be quite a lot of fun. Very good question. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I don't know why that's not been played more.
Okay. Maybe that's one for another day.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, mechanised sacrifice.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much all armour, and they're pretty much little light armour cars, half tracks. And we've got sort of 14 armoured car light tanks up against a couple of Panzer IIs.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a scenario that I think we've played before. It's the one that everyone talks about that you can learn AFE kind of tactics.
Is this with the Puma?
Yes. Yeah. Is it Puma Prows? I can't remember.
It might be, but certainly because the Puma's got tyres, hasn't it? So it's very very different in the way that it moves, and then you've got a couple of Russian tanks on the other side.
Is a hill or something? I seem to remember. I can't remember.
Is it through a town? I can't remember. But yeah.
Okay, but it reminded me of that, where you've got these like light tanks bouncing shells off each other. Look kind of quite fun, but it looks fun. But it's one of those scenarios where I didn't want to play it tonight, for example. It was way down on my list.
It's my bottom one. Simply because one of the things I think I most love about ASL is infantry, and I like having a tank or two to kind of like give it some interest. But I'm rarely interested in just playing in tank only.
Number 10 for me. Number 10 out of 11 for me. So exactly. But I can see it as being a good little tournament scenario where you're tired of doing a lot of combined arms and things like that and want to move on. Anyway, okay, so 123.
Okay, Busting in Bolter is 123. Now this actually, I nearly didn't, but it ended up being my number one.
Okay, well. Okay.
And this has... this looks good, but this hasn't seen a huge amount of play. But it's quite a big scenario. Yes. I think that's going to put people off, and I quite enjoy this kind of scenario. It's early Russian Eastern Front. Early Russian Eastern Front is great. Looks like it's just a massive sort of slugfest. You've got a sort of variety of tanks on the Russian side. You've got a couple of 82mm mortars. The Germans have got quality infantry. They've got the assault engineers, 838s with flamethrowers, DCs at 10 minus 10. Kind of a little bit of quality versus quantity. I mean, the Russians aren't quite conscripts, but a little bit of kind of quality versus quantity. And they're fighting over a town.
Okay, so that was my number 3 scenario. So actually, could be, yeah, absolutely. So it could well be one that we take a look at. Yeah. And who doesn't like the assault engineers? Flying into the Russians. That was good fun. Okay, all right. So Lunch in Luga for me. So 3 boards, 1941, Russian, German. Again, OBA involved, assault engineers. I mean, 8 turns I think is the only thing that really put me off this. But I don't know how much of these squads would actually be left over. 12 squads against sort of 15. Flamethrowers in there as well. Yeah, looks like a decent scenario.
It looks like a decent scenario. It's all infantry, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
I can just imagine that being like very, very hairy as a Russian defender, really just trying to avoid dying. Really.
Yeah. Exactly.
Classic ASL, really.
Exactly that. I just said, it looks. It's a variety of nice balls. You've got the 2 new balls, which I think is nice. I think that's a plus, along with board R. I
put it quite low down though, simply because I thought, without a vehicle or whatever, there's perhaps a little bit less colour.
Yeah, and mine 8 out of 11.
9 out of 11.
So so very similar. Not a lot to complain about it. Just there are better scenarios in there to look at. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so ambush on the South Knob. Yes. Of course. Got to go for the old rude names.
Yes.
I can't find out where I put it. I put it on number 3, so very high up. Okay. So the reason I put this high up is because I really enjoy PTO scenarios. There's 2 in this action pack, I think, and actually, so the reason I put Lunch and Luga relatively low is partly why I put this one quite high. I just enjoy like Japanese, with the Banzai charges. There's 12 squads. There's plenty of leaders, so they can do all the sort of crafty. Japanese stuff. Yep. This is on the new board. It's the Hill. There's the majority of the Americans defending a kind of a perimeter, sort of in front of the top. So there's a pillbox basically on the top of this hill here, and this is what the Japanese have got to capture. Now I can't remember. I think it's this way. The Japanese are coming on, and the Americans are sort of here in between. Okay. So they got to infiltrate through the Americans and capture those things. They look quite fun.
6 turns, yeah. It looks
Always
like it's very doable.
It's nice, simple PTO scenario.
Yeah. Wasn't so high for me.
No.
Yeah, so I had that down at number 6, 6 of 11. I had nothing bad to say against it. Nothing that would necessarily turn me off it. Yeah. But yeah, that was that. Okay, so I get
Mariuma's Stronghold.
Thank you. All right, so the problem with this one, and this is my least favourite scenario out of the back, it's a whole load of overlays. Yeah. And every time I look at that, I just think, oh, okay.
Can I be bothered to find them out?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's one of those things where you play it on Vassal, all the overlays look great, it's all seamless. The boards look fresh and new again, and hey, what's the problem? Again, so it's kind of PTO, so Japanese against Chinese, which we haven't played enough of. I think we've done a few.
We have done some in the past, yeah.
But we, I don't think we played the Chinese enough. I think there's some interesting little rules there.
Yeah.
Infantry.
I played a few of the sort of Korea Forgotten War things with double one.
Okay. And, I've not even seen that pack.
I mean, they're different. They're not standard Chinese or whatever, but there's some interesting variations on the Chinese.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, it's 7.5 turns. Eight squads against 15 Chinese.
I'm inclined to feel exactly the same about it, and it's probably wrong because when you sort of don't feel you can be bothered to get things out, or whatever, you might well be missing out on great scenarios. Which no doubt it is. But it put me off in a similar sort of way.
And it's crazy because all the work we go through to play an ASL scenario. It's almost the easiest part is getting out of it.
It's not that big a deal.
But yeah, we're all the same, I guess.
Sometimes I'm put off by things like, I know, for example, I'm going to have to check out the rules for the railroads and things like that.
Yep.
But that's ASL, isn't it? There's always a rule to check out, isn't there?
We usually do a timer, don't we, when we start the game?
It's normally very, very early on.
How quick before the first?
Usually just
check.
after the win. Sometimes with the win dice roll, we need to check something up.
Exactly.
First virtue. I quite like the look of this. It's infantry only. Very, very doable. Very achievable. The sort of thing I think you might play in an evening. You've got 2 or 3 hours or whatever. I think you could probably play a scenario like this. Interesting angle on this one. The Germans are defending, and they have to defend against a Free French force that have got a choice of objectives. They can either try to sort of capture one of the hills, which is straight in front of them as they come on board, or they can kind of dive off to the right and try and exit, or it's some combination of that. Then there's a gun they can capture for 4 points as well. So the defender's got to kind of balance those two victory objectives. If they don't get the setup right, presumably the Free French can go for one objective and win quite easily. But at the same time, the French got to decide how much force to give to each potential objective.
Right. And this is a little bit tricky with the different number of victory points based on guns and Illuminated and hill hexes. So I always find that when we're doing this, half the turn we're trying to figure out, okay, well, am I close to winning? Am I close to losing? Where are we? And that puts me off a little bit, just because it's not as straightforward as just counting up CPP, where I'm just kind of having a chit list at the end.
Those scenarios actually fighting withdrawal, like there's a famous scenario kind of like that has this. It's one of those ones where you can feel like you're doing quite well. But if you haven't got your eye all the time strictly on the victory conditions, you suddenly realise it's not possible to win because you're two movement factors away from being able to get off or something like that.
A little bit of a dissatisfactory kind of end to a scenario sometimes when you kind of feel like you've done everything. And then, exactly. Now I noticed this was very highly played on the archive.
I think that's because it's a modest scenario that people can set up in 20 minutes and get playing.
Yeah, it uses the double wide boards, which I love the double wide boards.
And it's 5A, which is a great board.
Yeah, exactly that. So looked good. But I had it low down. Just because you and I don't get to play that often, and I think I have a preference for combined arms. I like to see how I'm going to destroy my own tank. See what damage can I do myself. So I had it as number 9 out of 11.
And I had it further up at about 5.
Okay. All right.
So Flight of Fancy.
Flight of Fancy. All right. So this one here was my number 1 scenario.
Okay.
So this is fairly heavy metal. We've got. Let's have a quick look.
I think a lot of people would put this as their number 1.
I think, and this was I think the second most played scenario. So we've got the interesting scenario about this is the reinforcing Germans are entering already routed. So I don't think I've ever seen an entry condition that says route onto the board during turn 2. It often feels like some of my guys are routing very quickly after they've come on. But that's obviously really interesting. And 6 squads, 2 leaders, all routing. A little bit of a modification to the route rules just to help them out a little bit. So really interesting. Downside, there's blockage. So that's a little bit of an issue. I think is that right? Blockage, yeah, all hedges blockage. So blockage.
I say blockage.
Okay, all right. So
but I don't know. I have no way of knowing whether I'm right.
Okay, all right. And it's a bridge retreat as well. So there's bridges involved.
Yeah.
You've got people falling back over bridges. If you look at the setup, everything's going on all over the place. So for me, it looked really interesting. It looked like an interesting scenario, and one of those scenarios where it almost tells a story. Yeah. Rather than worrying about winning or losing, it's kind of like the scenario has this kind of presence on it.
I quite like the sort of the combination of the tanks. The 75Ls can obviously destroy the British tanks with a hit, but actually the Shermans have got a reasonably good chance of destroying the Panzer IVs because their armour's not that high. Yep. So it makes it a very tense kind of armour game when you're kind of manoeuvring, knowing that there's plenty out there that can just.
And the Piat maybe even has a chance.
I think the Piat would have a good chance against the. It would not be certain. It'd probably be like something like a 6 or 7 to kill.
Right. So you're looking for the side and rear hits.
And then it would be much higher. Yeah. Then it would be very likely to hit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was my number 1 scenario there. So where did you?
I had Flight of Fancy number 4. So quite high.
All right. So currently then we're still looking at, is it Busting and Balter as the one that we'll be playing potentially, unless there's anything higher.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
And it's Yeah, there you go.
All right, okay. It's 129. Polish battlefield.
So 129 Polish battlefield. So this looks like a bit of. I never know how I feel about this. I quite like the idea of having the opportunity to choose my force, and you've got a whole range of choices for this: the Germans and the Polish. I think sometimes, it always feels like a really, really good idea. Sometimes I kind of think, well. Is that just that mean I'm just going to make the wrong choice right at the beginning before I've even put a counter on the board?
Do you think there are tricks? There's traps to fall into here. Or do you think
I suspect there is. I suspect that it's difficult to think through what your overall kind of like plan is until you kind of started to play, and then you kind of go, do you know what? Now I know why I should have got the group with a heavy machine gun. And it's difficult until you've played it, because it's quite a chunky scenario as well. It's only 2 boards, but it's quite a big scenario.
Right. This is one of those scenarios where sometimes I wish there were less scenarios available for ASL, because this is one of those things where, if we could only play one scenario for a week and we had to play it over and over again, this is amazing, because then it's a little bit of a game of chess. Who's going to pick which one? Because most scenarios are going to get played once. Yeah. It feels like all this effort to select. Okay, it's effectively a random selection from my point of view of what I'm going to end up with. Yeah. And I don't get the benefit of seeing it, okay, well, actually, if you took this group, I should have taken that group. So therefore, I know the group that you put in front of me.
What I think looks quite exciting about it is you've got these Polish positioned on sort of defending, and you've got quite a powerful German force attacking it. You've got OBA, you've got big late war tanks, you've got very, very high quality Germans. I think it'd be quite an exciting one. You've got these sort of beleaguered Polish, like trying to hold out in where are they? Normandy, I presume, somewhere in France. Right. August. Right. So it probably Falaise Pocket. Yeah. Falaise Pocket. I think it'd be a lot of fun to play.
Do you when you're setting up a scenario, do you enjoy the pre-setup phase, the thinking about the scenarios and things?
That's a good question. I do. Sometimes find the process just a little bit stressful because you've got somebody who's waiting for you. Right. Okay. You don't want to mess it up. You don't want to spoil the game by not.
This is like in a tournament environment,
or in a tournament. I mean, even a casual game. I mean, I'm pretty relaxed if we're playing a game, whatever. But I don't want to keep you there for 2 hours, whatever. Right.
But what about the night before? So if for example, we've said, okay, well, you're coming around tomorrow.
I quite enjoy that.
Yeah. You can sit there and you can eke out the value of the scenario all the way through.
Yeah, you can think it through. Think through a proper plan. Come up with some tricks. I quite enjoy that. How about you?
Yeah, I think I live a life of regret. So then I'm suddenly realising, midway through the scenario, okay, this is what I should have picked. I'm intrigued that they go to the level of, giving you different battlefield integrity numbers and things like this. Yeah. The level of detail that Bill's gone to here, Bill Sisler, to define the scenario, it deserves more attention than I think they ultimately get.
It's had 5 players on Raw,
Okay.
which is relatively good for this pack at the moment, isn't there? There's obviously lots more people who have played it than that.
Is that Raw or the archive? Sorry.
On the archive.
Right, okay.
Sorry, right. So there's not doesn't come from Raw.
No, so the archive pulls when I run the import process. So people either log plays on the archive or they log it on Raw.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we combine the two. But yeah, the archive is predominantly the archive plays.
Okay.
There's a little box that says Raw in the corner.
Right. Okay.
Well.
Okay.
So,
but the playings we've had, which are archived,
Yeah.
it's even. It's 3-2.
Right,
which is quite good.
There was no easy way, which is a feature I need to add to sort of show how many plays of the total pack there's been. But I think there's been, is it around about, I can't remember now, is it 40? I think it's about 40 plays in total for the pack to date. So 5 is not bad, and it's certainly it's been picked a few times, and it's certainly up there. But certainly one for.
How do they? I've got literally no idea. Do they have to balance these like sort of different kind of choices, or do they just accept that a good player via a bad player will make different types of choices?
Well, it goes back to whether there's a trap or not. And I kind of figure that there wouldn't be a trap because the hive mind, the ASL hive mind kind of figures out very quickly, don't take this group, take this group. I wouldn't even know how you go about balancing
I've got no idea.
a scenario like this. Maybe we could get Bill one day to talk us through his steps. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And so, in terms of where you had this on the list,
so quite high, I think.
Oh, okay.
Number 6, not that high.
Okay, number 7 for me. So they're very similar. Mid-range. Again, looks like a great scenario. If you said to me play this scenario, I'd have no problems.
Me too.
Playing it. It's,
and actually, once you start working through the choices and things, they're not time consuming, are they? It's just it's all part of the fun.
Okay. All right. Exactly. So AP30. How would you pronounce that one?
Majoré.
Okay, brilliant. Majoré.
I've got no idea.
Okay, that's spot on. Okay, so this one looked quite interesting to me. 3 boards, and we're looking at American Germans in 1945. Again with the SS. There's a few times the SS appear in the scenario packs. It looks good. A 7-turn, combined arms, meat and potatoes scenario, really, isn't it? Yeah. It's a hill attack. Germans trying to control all
78. So that's a new board.
New one, exactly that. Sort of kind of alongside 19 and 57. You see a wet ground snow, mist. So all the rules that we forget. Almost instantly. There's our pre-set up rule check.
And the dug-in tanks as well.
That's right, dug-in tanks and winter camouflage. So all sorts of interesting things that we can take a look at there. Are there Panthers down there that are coming on?
There are. Is that Panzer 5? Is that Panther or tank?
Yes,
or a Tiger?
I think it's a Panther, but
I think it's a Panther too.
Okay, but I'm sure we'll get corrected if not.
I'm sure that will happen.
So I mean, looks all right. Looks interesting scenario. I mean, nothing to complain about at all. Number 4 on my list of scenarios to play.
I did quite a bit lower, but actually number 10, like quite near the bottom. But I guess the only reason is that again, if so you came over, we're going to play a game tonight, and we're looking at this. I'm just going to have to look up dug-in tanks. And that's fine.
Okay.
It's just like a little bit of an obstacle that puts me to put it further down the list.
Hold down, can't move, you'll be fine. I think that's how I'd play them anyway.
All right. Okay.
All right. So maybe 131. Crickets in spring.
Is this the last one?
I think so. Yeah.
I had this very high up. Crickets in spring. I had this as number 2.
Okay, me too. Number 2.
I could have put this one at the top.
Well,
I thought about it.
I even put an arrow here between these two. Wasn't sure between the two. So
arguably,
a
lot of agreement on the top.
Absolutely.
Okay. This also had the most plays, I think. 10 plays. Germans won 7 of those, and the Russians won 3.
Okay.
Very difficult to tell whether that's indicating a well balanced scenario or not really. Very very late wars. This is 1945 March, and you've got. You've got 6 squads, but you've also got some T-34, 85. So by the end of the war, I suppose quite poor tanks by the end of the war, I suppose. And they're defending against again very very high quality German force SS. They've got the Panthers again. They've got some half tracks. They've got 658 SS with good leadership. I thought it'd be a lot of fun playing.
One of my favourite tanks to play, the 85L T-34.
It's a great tank to play.
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, from my perspective, this is my 1/2. If it's your 2, I'd love to play this one.
I think this makes sense because this is achievable in the time we've got.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now the question is, are we going to give the balance to the Russians, or are we going to play it as is, or do you want to?
I think we'll play it as is.
Play as is and roll for sides.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Okay.
we haven't got a dice. Now we've got to find one. All right.
Can we hear Alexa?
Yeah, we can hear Alexa.
Can we hear it from here?
Yeah.
Alexa, roll 1 dice.
Hang on, we've got to say what it's for.
I rolled
1 to 3. I'm Russian.
for a total of 6.
You're the 1 to 3. I'm Russian. No, I'm the Germans.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the Russian force that Dave will see when he comes in. There's the main German force is going to set up on this board. They're going to be moving into this town, and they're going to be trying to capture these sort of multi-hex buildings. All multi-hex buildings count for victory points. There's also casualty victory points, and quite simply at the end, whoever has the most points wins. So it's all about controlling multi-hex buildings and killing each other's units. So kind of my idea is really that this force is really outgunned really by the nine German squads, and on turn 1 coming on with Panthers and half trucks and some 658s and a 10-2. So I don't know what I can achieve. So I'm trying to keep my force quite close together. So I've got like a platoon here set up around the medium machine gun, platoon here set up around the heavy machine gun. They're quite close together. You know, I'm basically saying there's nothing I can do to stop him going around and perhaps trying to capture these buildings. I just want to sort of slow him up here, possibly cause him a few casualties. My reinforcements come on between about here, and it's 6 T-34-85 tanks, massively outclassed by his, but nonetheless good tanks. Another 6 squads, much better quality, 628s. Poor range, but they're in a city, so the range might not be too much of a hindrance. Now I've got 3 hit guns. These guns can certainly take out half tracks, and if they can get a side shot, they can take out the the Panthers too, a side shot or rear shot. One of them's being placed here, so within the kind of defensive perimeter. Don't particularly want to lose them too easily by having them kind of outside or away from forces that might. I want them to be able to help with the defence, if you like. I've got another one here. All of them, you notice, are in orchards. That gives them the opportunity to be hip at the beginning of the scenario, and the last one is over here. So as you see, this is my kind of like most defended kind of location, and that's where they're going to be.
In terms of the German setup, you can see that we've got 3 large areas here. The plan is to push in this central area here. We'll bring the Panthers up onto the hill, try and reveal the guns first. The half tracks carrying the squads will be coming on in this direction here, and again waiting to see if we can find any guns. At that point, push through, see what Martin does with his reinforcements, which will be coming on in turn 2, and then my large artillery pieces will be coming on turn 4 to see if we can have any targets left that they need to attack. Okay, squeeze up. Still friends. So okay.
How do you think it's going, Dave?
So it's the German turn 3.
Yeah.
We have 3 burning wrecks.
Yes.
On the board.
Yeah.
You've only rolled 2 snake eyes.
Yeah, it was only 2. I also had rate of fire on and rolled relatively low, even when I didn't get snake eyes.
You did. Which is it's as expected. This was the Hill of Death up here.
Yeah.
The nicely placed artillery gun here took out. It's like a row of ducks, really, wasn't it?
Yes.
With
They stopped there, didn't they?
They stopped, thinking they were quite safe, and then
then
the gun revealed itself.
And was ridiculously successful. Yeah.
I
stopped firing at the Panther.
You ran out of targets.
Well, I had the Panther, but it was so unlikely I was going to do any damage to it, and I gave up.
The Panthers looked behind him and just seen it's bonfire night tonight, and we've just seen this set of fires blazing.
The worst thing about that is, of course, they had to have all the infantry as riders.
There's 10-2.
10-2
in there as well. That's
at least 2 658s.
Right. So you are currently 20 points up,
Yeah.
excluding the buildings.
Though you've captured a few buildings.
Yep, so I've captured 3 buildings, which, you're going to fight for again. I mean, obviously you have all the buildings.
I have all of the other ones, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not by any way straightforward.
Yeah.
Making a little bit of progress now in the middle of the board.
Yeah.
With the squads. We had a few mud rolls, but nothing got stuck.
Yes, that's right.
How
The mud rules make this quite interesting, because the Panthers could do all sorts of trickery if they didn't have to worry about the mud.
And you've learned now that if you count on your fingers as I move,
it makes you really nervous.
I stop, which is a good tactic for the mud player.
There were no bog rolls. Well, there were bog rolls, but none of them were bogged.
Right.
But you looked a bit nervous.
Yes. Yeah.
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 Then in open ground, it'd be on a 10 or above, wouldn't it? You'd bog.
I've got an excuse for those brown trousers now. I'm going to say it's the mud. So I mean, we're kind of set up for turn 3.
Yeah.
5 turns to go.
Yeah.
And
there's a big dilemma what to do with this, because there's a big area I could bring them in from, all the way over here, all the way around to here.
Right.
And I couldn't decide whether I should bring them in sort of safely here.
This is the T-3485s.
There's 6 T-3485s, and there are good squads on board as well. 628s with a 9-2 lead, a couple of machine guns.
And you've come off in formation here.
Yeah. So part of my thinking was to come on over here where it was relatively safe and reinforce this position. Another idea was to come on this way and perhaps try and sort of, take you on like one squad or one half squad at a time. But I'm kind of nervous that this would get completely rolled over. So I've gone for a sort of in between, I suppose, where they've come on here and they can kind of join the battle and perhaps impact your your cheeky half squads that are going around collecting buildings.
And there's almost a natural line, isn't there, across here that the Russians can potentially, as a fallback, and Neil come in flanking that area now.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start with German turn 3.
German turn 3.
Crack on.
Okay. Right, you got your notes.
Okay, I do have my notes.
Okay. Right, so we've called it.
The end. We have called it at the end of was it
turn 4?
Turn 4.
It was getting late, and I've got to go to work tomorrow.
And I think it's probably at this point it's beyond the reach of the Germans. So what happened? We had some pretty devastating fire from the artillery guns. Yeah, they did the
lion's share of the work, didn't they?
You had so the gun that was back in. Was it this one?
It was this. No, yeah, it was this one. I think that got the rate of fire.
That's right.
On the infantry, and rubbled that hex.
So that's in. Was that V8? Rubbled hexes. Rolled. Was it 4?
At least
4 shots of criticals and less than 4s.
Yeah, I think it was 2 criticals.
Yep, took the building down.
But several hits. Yeah.
Narrowly missed the falling rubble on your own gun.
Yeah, which would have been fun.
Yes, for the Germans, at least to give them a little bit of a.
I think it was only a 1 in 6 chance, wasn't it, in the end of falling rubble?
Yeah,
but nonetheless, it could have happened.
Yeah. We had you immobilised the Panther back here. You kind of got three T-85s around the corner there.
Yeah, the dance of death and stuff. Yeah. The interesting thing was, though, that you killed a tank, and I lost 5 points because the crew escaped, because they're quite good for the crew escaping if they don't become burning wrecks. And then I lost a tank, but that's only... No, but then you lost a tank, but which is 8 points.
That's right, So you got 2 crews out, so I took out 2 tanks. Yeah. The Panther missed the shot of the retreating T-3485.
Although if this game went on, you'd have that.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he may get away. It was because the Panther was basically just staring down the line of the whole row of, and I wasn't sure whether to take the first shot or wait for you to get closer. And in the end, I think I took the first shot, killed the first tank, and then it let the other 3 kind of surround him, and he was in big trouble. I always knew that if I was going to split them up, they'd be in trouble, but I couldn't make enough progress coming up to the hill, and I wanted to bring the tanks up to help support the infantry. And I think really, getting your T-34 here up on the hill with the are these the crickets? I don't know if the big guns are the crickets, but with 2 of the guns now malfunctioned and staring down the barrel of a 85L.
It's looking
quite grim.
Yeah, and it's actually quite hard for him to get this Panther to get anywhere because of course you're going to have to go off the road and you got all the mud and stuff like that.
So we didn't have any mud issues, did we? We had nothing like that. But overall, great scenario.
I thought it was a really good scenario.
I mean, we only got through half of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we rushed a little bit, but
I think there was definitely a bit of me dicing you. There was definitely an element of that. But having said that, do you know the Russians are quite brittle.
Yep.
Do you know when single squad breaks? You took a squad prisoner, didn't you? You had this stack here was kind of like disintegrating.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, your whole kind of the steeple location-ish church is all pretty much down now. And I think arguably, I think potentially there's a lot of victory points to be won here. You'd be routing back. I'd be coming in. You'd probably end up getting back across the road, and I think. This is again with 3 turns to go. Still realistically
a turn ago, I probably had a good chance to get most of this force across the road. That'd have been the right thing to do because you're running out of time for chasing them down.
It's a great scenario because there's so much going on and there's different battles, isn't there? There's the tank battle and then there's the kind of getting across the hill. The mud slowed everything down. I think we call that towards the end the extra half movement point and the extra or the movement factor and the extra point for the tanks. The unknown movement for the off-road stuff that you kind of are forced into if you want to manoeuvre properly. So a really good scenario.
I think it was a great scenario. And so what was the balance so far on the ASL scenario?
No, you were great. So the Russians are struggling. So you've done well. You've pushed. So make sure you log your play.
Okay.
So push the balance back in favour of the. But it didn't feel. I definitely feel like you had great dice, but that's no.
Yeah, absolutely. That happens.
I know that when I play you.
Mm.
And so, but it's the first turn was pretty brutal with the.
That was brutal.
Yeah. But other than that, I got lucky on a couple of shots that broke big stacks of yours. I think I think I didn't get the shots when I needed to, but I got the shots for the little shots, and that's how. And the snipers, thanks to your double ones, my sniper was pretty active.
You got some good snipers.
Yeah. So that was all good. So it's a good scenario.
Really, really good scenario.
I would play this again.
And actually, you could very much play out differently.
Yep.
The placement of the guns could be placed differently.
Yes. Yeah.
And in fact, I think I might be more conscious of placing them to cover these hills.
Right.
Than I was. Even this gun here, which was quite effective against the infantry, was turned to face the buildings. But as it was, if it was faced this way, it could very well have interdicted these.
And I didn't have enough squads to check that there were no guns up here, and I thought that eventually I was going to find a gun that was going to hit me in the rear from any of those. So
I think it made sense to not have the guns too far forward. Because they'll blow something up, won't they? But then they're surrounded and overrun. Whereas this way, just as you're sort of struggling getting into the town onto the hills, there's suddenly another unit you weren't expecting to be there, and that was quite good.
Yeah, I would absolutely play it again.
Yeah,
I think I don't often say that about many scenarios, just because I think so many scenarios, but this one felt like there was more to play in it. I think it's a great. It's going to take 7-8 hours to play it. At a nice pace. But so many different, interesting little facets of the battle going on, and really, really good. So, we said before about action packs being, must-buy products. So, it's a crazy thing to try to not recommend on the basis of one scenario.
But I don't think MMP lets you down with scenarios. Really, you've got 13, 14 scenarios, 11 scenarios in there.
Yeah,
I've not played many of them, if any of them, but I suspect that they'd be all good.
And the only downside, if you pick a downside of this, is it doesn't use a new map, and it's a little bit strange to see a scenario in an action pack that doesn't use any of the maps. It's a minor quibble, and there's no new.
There's
map.
quite a few that do.
Right.
There's quite a few that do.
That's right. Yep.
And you wouldn't want them not to include this because it wasn't going to have the...
just maybe a journal. Maybe it feels like a journal scenario more than an action pack.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, it's a great scenario. I really enjoyed it. So that's about it. So we talked a bit about potentially next episode doing some top fives.
Yeah.
We're thinking about doing the top 5 accessories, must-have accessories. You're going to come up with 5. I'm going to come up with 5.
Top 5 ASL accessories.
Yes, we're going to see. See if we overlap. We'll tell some stories maybe about the first game that we played against each other. Funny little story there. And we'll add some other bits and pieces. We'll come up with some other ideas.
Yeah.
And until then...
Look forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the best. Cheers.